we will get to thermal, but I want to get into St. Pete, right? First race weekend of your season. Finally, you get an IndyCar season, right? You're in the game now. You've dabbled a little bit, right? You've had a little bit of IndyCar experience, but not at St. Pete. Your squad, the team in general, I would say it was probably a struggle for you guys. All three cars definitely seemed to be a bit of a challenge. But I think for you wanted to get in all the laps, figure out what we're going to expect this season. Were you guys expecting a little bit more out of the street course package? What did you think of it overall?
Honestly, I wasn't even thinking like, what package we're going to have. I was more just like, we got such little preparation before the first race. You do like a day at Homestead with 3 sets of tires. So like you don't really, it was more like a shakedown. Then Sebring again, very limited amount of laps, and then straight into St. Pete. And, our 30 crew, there's a lot of new engineers, new mechanics. So it's a lot of new people working together, and we barely had any time to like start gelling. And then going into St. Pete, a track I've never been on. I have very little street racing experience in general, and the last time I drove or I raced an IndyCar on a road course was like 6 years ago. So I was like, man, I know this weekend's gonna be tough. Like, it's gonna be tough, but let's just take it step by step. So my goal was just like, honestly, not that I didn't care what package it. I was like, let's just focus on completing all the laps and going into street circuits. Like in the practices, it's so hard to actually get any clean laps to evolve because you either get stuck in traffic or there's red flags. And then you go straight into qualifying. So I was like, I know that our evolution is going to, like, the majority of it's going to be in the race, because that's the only time you actually get like consecutive running. Then you put on different tires and you go again. And I was fine with that. So I stayed very calm throughout the weekend. I wasn't really look too much into the results, just looking at the steps I need to take and the confidence level with the car. Because if you compare like street circuits in the US compared to street circuit racing like anywhere else,
they're not street circuits over there.
Right? Yeah. Not street circuits. Like I was speaking to my brother who was racing at a street circuit in the same weekend in Saudi Arabia. And I'm like, dude, St. Pete, it's so bumpy. It's crazy. And he's like, man, we're smooth sailing here. This is flat as hell. So it's very different. So to find that confidence level and the comfort, it takes a little bit. It takes some laps just through the amount of bumps that there is, especially under braking and stuff. So that's what I said. I said, let's keep it clean, keep it very simple with strategy, with setup and stuff, and let's just run as many laps as possible and evolve throughout the race. Obviously, keep pushing myself. And we did that, and then the pace was good in the race, from middle to the end, and we kept it clean, and it was we hit our targets for the first race weekend. But yeah, it was interesting.
Yeah, finishing 15th, honestly, in this modern era of IndyCar racing, when you've got 27 full-time cars, that is you have to be happy with that day. If it's not the greatest weekend right now, when you look back at the season and you're like, hey, 15th, those are points that we need come the end of the year, right? Like that's, again, we want to win. We want to be in the top 5, top 10 and stuff like that. But nowadays in the IndyCar series, the NTT IndyCar series, with how difficult it is, with how close it is, you have to be like, all right, for the first race out, we got to be proud of that. That's something to build on. What do you think was the most difficult part of the track? As like someone who's new to the track, like I've been racing at St. Pete now since I was like 18. So like I'm very used to it, but it's a very challenging track. And physically, how did you feel after the race? Because physically, I heard a lot of drivers, that's a tough one. That's a tough race to start out at. It's warm. I mean, I know I several races over the last few years, I've had a cooler of water dumped over me in the middle of the race because it's so hot. What did you think of it?
How do you even have time to do like that?
Well, we don't take the tear off. We don't use the tear off. We don't pull the tear off. So the guy that pulls the tear off instead just dumps water on me. It actually works kind of nice.
No, I'm for sure it does. Like I do the same thing, but before I get in the car, and I learned it from endurance racing. If you're able to cool your body temp down,
it's huge.
Before you get in it, dude, it's a massive difference. And I'm a person like I sweat a lot, so I need to be careful with dehydration. So I worked a lot, like in endurance racing, on how to keep myself cool and like make sure I'm not getting cramps and stuff in the race. So That might be a good tool.
Literally, just ice bucket, boom, dumped on you. And honestly, it felt fantastic.
Messed up some of the electronics and stuff in the car. There's no risk.
No, I mean, it probably is, but I did the same thing with Meyer Shank last year at Mid-Ohio. Last pit stop, I said, hey, no tear off, just pour some water on me. I'm going to unzip the suit a little bit, and I felt fantastic for the last stint.
Bro, it makes a big difference, man, because it cools your body temp down. Your body's like overheating. But going back on your question, the toughest thing is St. Pete. I'll say first is just getting in rhythm, like consecutive laps. It's so like sometimes so scrappy in a way, the session, so it's hard to really get in a rhythm. I'll say gaining the confidence like in the heavy braking zones to brake super late, and make sure that you're either not going to lock the rear or the front as you're turning in, because if you do that, you either need to go straight or you're like, no, I think I'm going to stick with it, and then there's a good chance you'll hit the wall. And the problem with going straight is like, if you cause red flags, the rule is if you cause a red flag in the session in practice, you're not allowed to rejoin.
Yes.
So if you go straight, you have to make sure that you have enough space to like turn it around and go.
You got to commit to the burnout too. A lot of people don't commit to the burnout.
And make sure the car doesn't stall.
Yep.
Because if the car stalls, there's a red flag and you're done. So it's kind of like, I was going into the practice sessions, I was like, all right, I need a risk, right? To like make sure I feel the car and stuff. But I was like, there's a certain point that if I go too much and I beginning of the session and I cause a red flag or whatever, like I'm done. Then it was like all that work goes to waste. So it was just about like, that's why I was like, listen, let's just gain laps and get consistent. We might not have the preparation doing it this way for qualifying, but I was like, it's all right. If I start in the back, I'm going to have the laps in the race to build up to it. It's going to be traffic. And then we're going to get clean air and I'm going to start pushing harder. And that's exactly what we did. And we made those gains in the race. So that was the approach I wanted to take. And we did it. And then obviously going in with more experience in other tracks and stuff, the approach is going to be different. But being the first race, everybody knew and in the car and stuff and new, situation for me, I was like, let's just do a conservative approach for this one.
And physically, after the race, what do you think of the car?
Dude, I'm telling you, after warm up,
it's hard.
I was worried, bro. I was very worried.
And it's not bad to admit it too. Like these cars are the hardest cars to drive, I think, in the world.
These cars are the hardest cars. And after warm up, I did like it was like a 12-lap consecutive push stint, and I was like, holy I was like, this race is getting tough, dude. 100 laps.
Yeah.
And I was looking at some of the other drivers, and I had a Colin Braun there with me, and I'd raced with him in endurance, and he's like, damn, dude, how are you feeling for the race? And I was just honest with them. I said, I don't know, dude. We're gonna see when we go out. And he was the same. And
he has not driven a car like that probably in a very long time. When it comes to no power steering, nothing like that, it's crazy.
Yeah, and Tom Blomqvist as well. I was speaking to him. I was racing with him a lot. Like we were always competing each other closely in WEC last year. And I was like, how do you feel? And I was like, bro, just be honest. Like, some guys try to,
no lies.
Like some guys try to hide it.
A bunch.
He wasn't. He was very honest. He was like, it's going to be fun. I don't know how we're going to do it. But honestly, at the race, it ended up being easier than I expected. Because I think you get in a rhythm. And
a lot of fuel saving, too.
That was part of it, too. And then when you're stuck in traffic as well, like sometimes in the beginning of the race, I would say more like on the second stint, I had better pace than the cars ahead, but there's no way to overtake. So you're not like pushing like this every lap, and then you're just fuel saving. So you're kind of just managing. The tough one in like the warm up was because you're pushing as hard as you can every lap, so you wear yourself out. But if you're behind the other cars and there's not much to do until there's clean air, then it becomes a lot easier. So I was okay at the end. It was a good experience.
I still think drivers acquire some sort of weird superhuman strength when it comes to race time, because again, after the warm up, you're always like, how in the world are we going to do this?
I know.
And then you just, and once you're in the race, you're like, I know I'm here for 2 hours and like, we got to let this thing eat the whole time.
I think it's because you know that, so you almost like pace yourself in a way. I don't know what it is, but I was, after warm-up, it's exactly what you said. I was like, I don't know how we're going to do 100 laps here, but it just you end up doing it somehow.
Just wait till you get to Nashville. Chase, go ahead. Jump in here.
Yeah, no, you're talking about Nashville, bringing that up. You've done a lot of racing, man. You've been all over. I was looking over, just the stat sheet alone. You've kind of had experience and feed in pretty much everything. When it comes to IndyCar now, you're coming back into this thing. I want to talk about ovals. Are there any ovals specifically this season that you kind of have on your radar that you're mapping out? Because I know you got to have a game plan and a strategy ready to roll. What's like one big oval, other than the Indy 500, obviously, that you would want to roll with and that you would kind of want to take down this year that's on the schedule?
I would say other than the Indy 500, I do like short oval racing quite a lot. So I look forward to going back to Gateway. Heard a lot of exciting things about Iowa as well. So looking forward to tackling that. I don't know Milwaukee, or I don't know Iowa either, but there's a lot of tracks I don't know. But those tracks like Milwaukee and the Nashville Super Speedway, a lot of people don't have experience with those tracks. But I love oval racing. I've always liked it. When I went from karting to cars, I first started racing late models, and I won a NASCAR late model track championship at Hickory Motor Speedway. That was like a quarter-mile track. So I've always enjoyed it a lot. And I think, the first oval we're doing is the 500. So you start off with the most important one.
Yeah.
But we have a 500 Indianapolis test middle of April. So that'll be the first time I'll get in the car on the oval this year.
Nice, man. I'm a big Gateway guy. So I like to go out to Gateway. Fun times.
Gateway is awesome.
Yes, it is. So
and look, I did try to get your boys going the right way for next year too. So hopefully we can use some of that information from last year.
So let me ask you something then, Conor. When you jumped in to do the ovals, what did you feel was obviously looking at the stats, the ovals are a track that they struggled at. So when you jumped in, did you feel anything different, or what do you think?
Well, I mean, I think what I learned is every team has a different philosophy for sure. I think we were able to get a good amount out of it, but I think there is a bit of pace that team, but they know that. Like, they know that they needed some stuff to be a little bit better. I think I assume that there will be a different philosophy, we'll say. Like, let's say for Indy and a few different places, but for me, I think you can attack on those short ovals. Like, I think you have to be willing to drive the car very free. Like, when I talked to Lundgaard right after St. Louis, he's like, dude, you were so loose like the whole time, because Lundgaard followed me for the entire last stint. And I was like, honestly, man, I didn't feel that way. I think it was just like me over the years of my IndyCar experience. The freer you can drive the car, the faster it goes, essentially, without
almost
exploding
drift,
and dying.
Kind of drifting.
But that was what I think is I've gained confidence over the years to just be able to show up to St. Louis and just turn with the power on, essentially, and just ride it out. That's
because the weird thing is, like, I remember when I was racing with Dale there in 2018, we had a very fast car. Yeah. And I remember in practice we were P3. And then qualifying got rained out, so we had to start in the back, but we finished 11th. So we made a lot of ground in the race, and the car was really good. But that car, it was all about, it gave you the confidence to drive in hard. Exactly. But I feel like it had the rear stability. So it's almost like there's a fine line. It's just different philosophies, I guess.
Think what I felt in the Rahal car was that line of, let's say, stability needed to be expanded a little bit, right? So like when you turn and you got to the limit of the sidewall, it needed to be like, all right, let's be able to lean a little bit more on this before it starts to kind of have that snap. You know what I mean? So again, we just got into deep racing tech talk right there, but you guys will be just fine. You got great engineers over there, I love working with the 30 car, and great pit crew too. You guys got great pit stops.
That matters.
For sure.
That counts.
That's true.
I would say the closest thing that I've had to that experience was when I was at COTA. I kind of consider myself a professional, like junior go-kart rider, like casually.
There you go.
So until I got behind the wheel of like a high-powered go-kart and I'm going into a wall and they say, no, just stay on the gas and turn. And I was just like, I don't understand how this is about to work. And I thought it was going to be the end for me at COTA, but we pressed on, we survived. and I was able to get around. It just
the
fascinated me.
biggest advice I have for rental people that go on rental carts is most of the time you do not need to use the brakes.
There you go.
So that's
honestly,
a tip.
you almost don't need to,
brakes
because the car's not that fast. So you keep the momentum up. So if you try to do the lap without using the brakes, if it's a hairpin, you need to use the brakes. But any other corner, most of the time, do not need to use the brakes. It's there. It doesn't mean you have to use it, you know?
Exactly. If there's
That's
a puddle,
fair.
don't hit it. That's a big lesson that I learned too. It had just rained. So I learned a lot that day. But yeah, that's as close as my experience goes with that.
So Pietro, let's look forward a little bit to thermal. Obviously, probably another new place for you, right? $1 million challenge, very exciting. Less pressure because it's, I would say, less physically difficult because it seems like the races are going to be, there's some heat races, a little bit of a shorter distances. Are you excited about it? I mean, like, everyone gets money to start the race, so that's good. At least there's something that's exciting there. I'll be out there as well, checking it out. But excited about it. You think there's, I asked Joseph this kind of same question last week, just kind of give people something to look forward to for this thermal race, because it's going to be, on television. People are going to be consuming it.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I've never been there, but dude, it's the dash for cash, bro.
Hell yeah, brother.
Short little qualifying sessions, heat races, and the short race. Like, I don't even think there's no pit stops or anything. There's like a break in the middle, I think, of the feature race where you'll be able to refuel or something like that, or change tires. I haven't checked exactly, but they're short little dashes. So I've never been there. It's going to be cool to experience a different track, an opportunity for us to improve as well. Like myself, the Dirty Crew, and gel more together. It's a non-points race, but there's a lot of money on the line.
Yeah.
So, and from what I've seen in onboards, it looks very difficult to overtake.
Yes,
the races are short. You're not going to have a lot of tire dead. So, like,
I don't know how anyone's going to pass.
expect.
After driving there last year, that's the one thing. Now, again, I'm excited for it because there's money on the line, but I don't know what the overtaking situation is going to be like, and we're going to be honest.
The only thing I see is, like, that's going to make it super exciting on the starts.
Yes.
Where people are going to be like, this is my chance. It's $1 million in the next row. Like, we got to go for it. Like, but I don't know if I'm mistaken or not, but that rule, I think there's a break in the middle.
I heard something like that. Yes.
There's like a break and then a restart. So it's going to give opportunity to have another restart and then go for it at the end, if I'm not wrong. So, let's see. I haven't driven there, but could be exciting.
I'm pumped. I'm pumped to see how it works out. I want to ask a little bit about you and your brother, because you guys both, I think, have created a media empire that is very strong and has to be a nice little addition to the portfolio. You guys are some of the smartest young drivers, I think, out there right now. Your YouTube stuff, you've got essentially a Kick sponsorship deal, Kick's on Enzo's car. Kick is a major streaming platform right now. You guys have like sports gambling deals. Like there's so much there that is, I think, extremely awesome, but it's all part of the program, right? You wouldn't be here right now as an IndyCar driver if you didn't have that business savviness, if you didn't have the partners that you have. Tell us, like, what do you think the next step is for you and your brother there? Like, and also, is he going to Formula One? Like, is he ready for Formula One, do you think?
Yeah, so, it all comes from, first, our love for the sport. Our dream is to be a racing driver in whatever series that is. We want to be a professional racing driver. We want to be professional racing drivers. And I had the opportunity to come into IndyCar in 2018, but it was always like part-time deals, like very last minute, and a lot of it was through Dale giving me opportunities, which sometimes wasn't even for funding or anything. It was like, listen, I'll give you the opportunity to get in the car. But I always had that dream and that goal to race in IndyCar full-time. But, a lot of the time when you go in to do a first full-time season or something like that, it depends a lot on partners. And for my brother to race, every driver in Formula 2 needs to bring funding.
Oh, yeah.
And we were always extremely short on funding. People don't believe that, coming from the family I come from. But we were always like extremely short on funding. It was always very difficult. So it came out of a necessity, and it came through the pandemic. We're like, let's start streaming our races and try to build a brand. And it started growing. We were the first virtual F1 world champions for the Haas F1 team. and we, gained a lot of popularity on our streaming. And I was like, the races in real life, they're going to start again. So let's bring these fans with us, like, to the tracks. So we started documenting all of our race weekends. It was started with us filming with our iPhones, all the race weekends and our behind the scenes, and posting it on YouTube, posting a lot of content on TikTok. And I was like, dude, people, they want to see this stuff because not a lot of drivers show it. So we got to keep pushing it. And I know, like, some people are like, maybe it's a bit too much or whatever, but I don't think so. I mean, like,
definitely not.
It's part of the thing, dude. Like, people want to see these things.
Absolutely.
And, to bring the fans closer to the sport, I think first is extremely important, to use the channels to bring new fans and younger audience as well. That's the way you have to do it, either through Kick, through YouTube, through TikTok, through Instagram. And we were able to create this Fittipaldi Brothers brand. And honestly, we love doing it. So every race weekend, we always have a vlog out. We're doing it on English as well now. So we're trying to grow the English audience on YouTube. So we put a vlog out already for St. Pete. It always comes out like the maximum, like 24 hours after the race. So we have a race on Sunday. It's out either Sunday night or Monday.
And I assume you guys have like editors now too. You guys got like people that help out.
Bro, the team is so small.
That's all right.
No idea. People think it's like this massive thing. Initially, it was just me and my brother doing it all, but it was so time consuming.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's me, my brother, and two other guys that do it. And that's the way it goes. And they hustle hard as well. We want to throw fast content out. So after the race weekend, vlog has to be up either Sunday night or Monday morning. So that's the way we do it. And for sure, it's super important. I mean, to grow the brand and to be able to have a platform to provide sponsors the opportunity to engage with the fans and activate and stuff. It's great. And like this weekend, we had the vlog of Enzo winning his race in Jeddah, which he did an amazing job. We did the one for St. Pete. So yeah, it's
grabbing the wheel in more ways than one. I like that.
Exactly.
Look, I got a lot of respect for that, man. Like that, it's huge, and people don't realize how hard that can be. Like when you're producing and editing and doing all that stuff on your own. So definitely have a lot of respect for that in the market. I love everything you're saying too about it, because it really is like the new television. It's the new TV. It's the new media outlets. It's like, that's where everybody is. Their phone's always accessible. It's always in a pocket. It's always, right there by you, wherever you are. That's where they're watching. And if we're going to grow the audience, we're going to keep getting more and more people to come in. That's where it's got to be done. And you just got to take it and grab the bull by the horns and get it.
Yeah. I know it's sometimes cheesy at times, like the drivers, producing this content. Yeah. But dude, I don't care. And I'm sure it rubs some people off the wrong way. Like we're always putting out a lot of content.
That's not your problem.
It definitely rubs Joseph Newgarden the wrong way, because he doesn't want to follow anyone. He doesn't want to see any of what you're doing.
All business Joe, dude.
He doesn't want to see any of what you're doing.
Because I've had those talks with my brother. Yeah. I was like, bro, don't you think we're putting out too much content and some people might get annoyed? And I was like, Enzo, I don't give a shit, dude. Like this stuff, like, dude, this is awesome. Like, we got to show what we're doing. Why not show what we're doing? Our preparation, everything.
All these platforms
we're so focused on performing.
All the platforms.
It's not affecting our performance.
All these platforms pay too. You know what I mean? There's money.
It's not affecting our performance. We're focused on racing, and on the side we do this. Other people do other stuff, and we enjoy it at the same time. We're enjoying it. So that's why we do it.
Life,
will we see Enzo Fittipaldi in Formula One? Do you think?
I hope so. I know he's extremely fast, and he has to keep doing what he's doing.
Winning is winning, right? Winning is
winning, man. I mean, opportunities come when you get results like that and you win in that sort of fashion. He did like a double overtake for the win. And, he was extremely fast over the race weekend. The first race in Bahrain, they were super fast as well, but they were hit by a lot of troubles. So the way he bounced back just shows a lot. And now he needs to keep going. And he is with an underdog team. It's a very new team. I was in 2022, so they're a very strong team together. So it's got to keep going.
Absolutely, that would be pretty impressive to see two Fittipaldis who have raced in Formula One in this essentially the same like 5 or 6 year period. That would be pretty wild. I'm excited for him. He's a great young fella. So I've enjoyed you being a part of this program. I think this year is a big one for you. Obviously, you guys have had so many partners come on board this team as well. You know, Oakberry, who we see in Formula One as well on the Haas Formula One team cars. I love the integration, right, that we've got with you. We've got a little bit with Haas F1. I think that's great for our sport, for the whole motor racing scene in general. You guys have 5 Hour Energy involved, the consumer brand that's like, hey, we can go out and support everyone at 5 Hour Energy. We can go get energized right now at the store. You know what I mean? I think that's cool. Do you think the business of RLL is looking good right now? Everyone's kind of feeling excited about the potential you guys have for the rest of the year?
Yes, I'm super excited. Everyone is extremely motivated here at ROL. Even after a tough weekend at St. Pete, everyone wanted better results, and they didn't come. I'm here at the shop today, and the guys are working, nonstop to improve. And I know that we're going to have great cars this year, and everyone is looking forward to thermal already, you know. And it's very proud to be part of a team like ROL.
Absolutely. Well, I am also trying to do things on the YouTube. This full video episode is on my YouTube channel. I've just now eclipsed 1,500 subscribers. No big deal. I know you guys have over 100,000, which is amazing. So I'm going to be a subscriber of yours. And that's YouTube is big business, baby. Big business, right?
It's awesome, dude. And what you're doing as well, it's extremely important for the sport. And I love IndyCar, and I think that's one area that we need to keep pushing is on the digital side, the digital media, because the racing IndyCar, for me, it's the best racing that there is in the world.
100%.
There isn't
Absolutely.
racing like IndyCar. People say, St. Pete was a bit boring, but the other races won't be. And sometimes there are some races where are not that exciting. But the way the racing is, the way you have to hustle the car and qualify, and the tracks we race at, there's no other motorsport in the world right now that is as close to as exciting as IndyCar. So that's why I love being part of it, and we got to keep going.
Heck yeah.
I agree. So this episode, we're recording this before the week of thermal, but you guys have a barber test. This show will come out after the barber test. Is that the last test other than the Indy 500 test that you guys have, or is there going to be any more testing other than at barber this week?
There is. After thermal, there's our first hybrid test that we're going to do at the Indy Road Course. It's the week after thermal. And
nice.
It's all the teams that haven't done the hybrid testing yet.
Got it. Okay, cool. I'm going to go out there and watch it probably. I'll go out there and check it out.
It's March 28, 29.
Right. I did have one more question for you, man. So
there you go.
So Pietro, I kind of went and stalked the Instagram a little bit. I went back. I was trying to figure out what, the hobbies are. I found out a lot, but there was one post that really caught my attention. 2019.
Jeez, that's far back.
Yeah,
bro.
dude.
He's doing deep dives.
Deep dives. I'm a big deep dive, big Google brain, whatever you want to call it. But Ronnie Gomez, professional skateboarder. I was a big skateboarding guy. That was the wheels that I rode on. So whenever I saw that post, he's actually stitching to the back of a go-kart with you. Do you think we can recreate that now with the actual the Delara? Can we get him to stitch on the Delara at any point in time?
That would be super cool, man. I remember we went to Brazil in this classic karting track called Granja Viana, and we were doing this promotional thing, and he was there. He was doing a bunch of tricks with the skateboard, like jumping on top of my cart and everything like that. He was a great guy, and I got to bring him to an IndyCar race now.
Yes. That has to happen. I mean, that's the content right there.
I used to skateboard a lot. But I was terrible.
Are we all skater bros now? Are we the skater boys?
We had a 3-stair right next to the pool at my dad's house. We had to ollie the 3-stair. We had to get off there and try to be
elite athletes. I was so bad, dude. I was so bad. I think my favorite part was going to the skating shops and looking at the different cool boards and getting that. That was the cool part for me.
Yeah.
It's bro, look at my board, dude.
Right. Had to get that birdhouse, had to get that element.
No, I had an Enjoy. I got an Enjoy board. You guys remember?
Spitfire wheels, bro. Were so cool.
Dude, yeah.
Their logos
A-Bag
so
9s, dude. Black Panther, A-Bag 9s. All the way, dude.
I had a ghost skateboard, blind skateboard as well.
Dude, I was blind right now. I think we're all three, whenever we get out to the 500, we're all three going to get together. We're just going to have to shred it. We're going to have to shred in the infield at IMS. That's a goal.
For sure.
I'm in. Well, Pietro, thank you so much, man. Appreciate you being here. Remember, watch those oval restarts this year. I know we had a tough time at Texas a few years ago. Watch those oval restarts.
I know.
Be all right,
let me tell you the story quickly. So the first time at Texas, the first race, we were having a good race, but I kept getting jumped on the restarts. Like every single time I was getting jumped. Like I think last restart, we were like 12th, then I lost 3 places, finished 15th. So Dale overnight was like, all right, we got to jump you got to jump the restarts. You got to go. Bro, they were jacking me up the whole night. Like just jacking me up. And I'm like, all right, bro.
Let's break the rules. Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's going to be good now. I go, the first time I go do it, the field checks up in front of me and fucking disaster.
Big explosion. That's all right.
But we learned. At
Indy, you'll be just fine. There's plenty of idiots jumping the restart at Indy, so we'll all be in the same boat. It's going to be fantastic.
Yeah,
I can't wait to see you on track for the test in April. Will be good to be going up against the 5-hour energy wagon or whatever sponsor you've got on that thing. Appreciate you being here, man. We're going to follow you. We're going to subscribe to all your channels. We're going to be following Enzo as he pursues Formula One. And you know what? You got to get Enzo on our show sometime too. We're gonna have Enzo on this show. We'd like to talk to him too.
Anytime. And one day, bro, like the you never know. I want him to come to IndyCar as well, you know. So I think that'd be exciting.
Get the whole field to come.
Bros Racing.
Get the whole F1 field to come, dude.
Yeah.
Get them over.
Fittipaldi Bros Racing. All right, man. Thank you so much. Good luck in thermal.
Thanks, dude. I appreciate it. Thank you.